Hello. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I'm getting problems there. Got a technical issue, it would seem. Have you clicked in yet? Okay, hang on.
There we
There you go.
go. There you are. What's up, Dave?
Hey, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
man. Good to see you, dude. How you doing,
Yeah,
man?
yeah, I'm all right. I've been out of the picture for a while.
Talk to me, man. What's new?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's just a new job was taking up quite a lot of time, you know.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you do?
So,
If you can, what do you do in your off time? If you don't mind me asking.
as much as possible.
Okay. All right. Are you like you work besides beekeeping, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
now you
sure.
you got some time to beekeep. What are you doing now with your bees?
Well, what I'm doing at the moment, because it's a winter period, there's
Yeah.
not a lot going on, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I've been doing some periodic checks and all that. You know, make sure they got enough feed, they're heavy enough. So I've hefted them a few times.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal.
So,
Well,
how's your feral colony doing?
really strong. Really
Yeah.
good. I haven't been out in a couple weeks to check them because we've just been having really spotty weather.
Mm.
So I was wanting to check them today, but again, we're getting spotty weather, man. And I just went out. My mentor helped me build a sugar board. Well, he actually showed me how to do it. He
All right.
built me the sugar board. I went to his house one day. He's like, "All right, we'll build sugar boards." So he showed me how to build a sugar shim. I put that out there. It's got 8 pounds of sugar on it right now, and I'm just letting them feed through that for the next couple months. I
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
with the colony, I mean, once I got it sized down, it's like a box and a half.
Mm.
But most of the bees are down on the bottom right now. Last
Yeah.
time I checked, they were doing really good, man.
Yeah.
So
So you think you're going to be in pretty good shape for the next season? I would.
I was talking to my mentor about it, and he's like, "Dude, I think those bees are gonna fire out when it comes springtime
Yeah.
because it's a feral colony, and I run a business. I'm self-employed, and I was
Yeah.
at my client's house out here. Everywhere I live out here in Texas is all big ranches, man.
Yeah.
Some of these ranches you're not acres, you're talking miles, square
Mm.
miles, like 30, 40 square mile ranches.
Yeah.
So my client, that feral colony came from their ranch. Like we've had these bees here for several years.
Yeah.
They said they're like, as long as I can remember, they've been here. He's like, they keep coming back year after year. And once we got that board peeled back, we'd seen they'd been there for probably a good, 6, 7 years, 8 years,
Yeah.
and they had been thriving in that one spot for so long. And we'd had some really tough weather here the last few years. And I was happy to know that they made it through that weather.
Yeah.
We had some really hard freezes and that they wintered well through that. That's a good sign to me that it's a healthy, strong stock. You know, so I'm really hopeful for them. They're looking good right now, man.
Well, you'll be doing splits quite early then, I would have thought.
Yeah, and that's I'm gonna keep feeding them. Right now, I have some feeders put around my community. I spread liquid feeders out with feed in them, and just to see, and they're bringing it back. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go out and check them, and they're bringing. There's not much nectar or not much pollen right now. I'm sorry, but they are bringing in like little bits.
So you're still, the weather down there is still quite warm.
85 degrees the last couple days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our weather pattern we're looking at 80s the next couple days. Then it's only going to drop down into, I'll tell you right now. Let's take a peek here. Because one thing I want to I told you I'm trying to start a beekeeping group out here where I live. And one thing I want to bring into discussion is how important weather plays. How big of a factor weather plays in beekeeping.
Oh man,
It,
where do
it's,
you
it,
start? Where do you?
yeah, where do you start? Yeah, exactly. Where do you start? You got hot, cold. It could be too wet. Yeah, where do you start? Where do you start with it?
Well, this year's been exceptional as far as, well, you know, where I live in Scotland. In Scotland,
Mhm,
you can have 4 seasons in one day. And November, it's been really, really warm.
mhm.
And I think it's been unusual. So, you know, things like Varroa control and all this sort of stuff, and
Yeah,
them still brooding up in November.
yeah.
Certainly, what I was experiencing. We're now down to, I think next week we're all in the minuses.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know, our weather's changed drastically. Boom, just like that. And does it
Yeah,
affect what I do? Definitely. I've
100.
scratched my head that many times in the
Mhm.
last, I would say 8 months. It's
Talk,
unbelievable.
talk about like it's like you have that one tool on the job and say you drop it and you can't get it back. That's how
Yeah.
like it can the weather can shut you down in beekeeping. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it either.
No,
Nothing.
for sure. For
What are you
sure.
gonna do? Go tell the weather to stop raining? Yeah. No.
Yeah. I mean, I guessed it would get worse as the year progressed. Well, towards the end of the year for us, anyway.
Yeah.
It's just unseasonable. So, and what's it done for the bees? Well, they're actually filling two deeps at the moment,
Very
and
nice.
yeah, I mean, I was surprised. Well, you've seen the shot from the last video I
Yeah.
posted today. They were literally packed from bottom box
Mhm.
to top box.
Yeah.
And my checks have been sticking my logo onto the hive and just listening,
Mhm.
and if there's a strong hum.
Yeah.
Everything seems great.
Yeah. And that's there's one concern I'm having with my colony right now, and what they've been doing is they've been gluing they've been sticking the comb together inside the box, man. So when I pull the frames out, I have there's this set of frames, and it's three. They glued three of the damn frames together. So to take out one frame, I have to take out three. I have to, and I'm really worried about going in there right now and actually messing with them just because they're wintering up.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they don't the comb in there. I need to get the comb replaced really bad because it's old. It's old looking comb.
yeah,
That's kind of one of my goals. I'd like to go into the spring is trying to cycle that old comb out and get new comb in there. And that's a process I don't know how to do yet because there's brood in that comb. I'd leave it there and let them just work it or rotate it upwards. That's one of the issues I'm kicking around in my head right now is how to break
yeah.
down these combs because we cut it out of a wall.
I think I've heard on other sites that sometimes when cycling comb out, that some brood does get sacrificed. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I
haven't.
guess we're how to cycle that comb out without killing off a bunch of the resources.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's where I'm at. That's the struggle I'm dealing with right now.
yeah. I think also if there is any brood left in that comb, I think when you put it back in, the bees sort that out anyway, and they know that it's died. So I
Yeah.
think they whip it out and throw it out the
Yeah.
front as normal.
Like they take care of that wax kind of thing. They take care of the old wax, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think they polish out as much as they can. I think it's when it goes really dark and like black in color. I think it's when it should
Seeing
be
this
cycled out.
this comb is pretty dark, man. Like
Yeah,
when we pulled it off, there was some stuff in the bottom right of that cutout that was really clean, white, fresh looking comb.
yeah.
ADCBs. Um, and on the left side, it was a lot of darker comb. So they had been there for a while.
Yeah.
It's like brownish almost. It's like brown comb. It's not quite black, but it's darker.
So if you're cycling yours out, that means more work for them to do in the spring, it would seem. Do you get enough? Because I know that's a precious commodity to have, and
Yeah.
I've tried to build it this year as much as I can. So at least for my second nucleus that's coming early in the season, I can almost checkerboard the comb.
Okay. And I'm thinking
Because
of
I
even
think,
get. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, I think I've got enough to do that, to get them a good start rather than them working ultra hard to produce comb.
Yeah. I was thinking of even getting the wax foundations that are already formed, and getting
Right.
those. Even giving them a head start that way they don't got to draw out the wax. I can put it in a frame, they can tack it down, and she can go to laying right away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was even thinking, go ahead.
You talking wax foundation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the preformed wax
Yeah.
foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
My
what I
mentor
use.
showed it to me. He's like, this stuff is awesome because it really helps. They don't have to draw out anything. Like you could throw a queen in there and like they're gonna see that it's empty and she's gonna go to laying, man. They'll
Yeah.
go to cleaning and laying. So I'm thinking I might go that route and checkerboard it in.
Yeah.
Keep the brood and cycle it out that way. That's kind of where I was at with it.
Well, that's an interesting thing that DC's put. If the comb isn't rock hard, I'm keeping it at the moment. None
Okay.
seems bad, so should be okay.
I'm open to like ideas too. Like I'm first year, you guys know that, so I'm open to any ideas. It's like, hey, leave the comb in there. I mean,
Hey, I'm still first year. I'm just as green as
yeah,
anybody else, and
yeah,
chaps, DC's played a big part on certainly on
yeah.
subscribing to my channel. He's different in his approach, and he certainly helps.
I'm all
You
about
know,
like the bees know what's best for them. We
oh
don't
for sure,
because they haven't came and told me anything about, hey, this is what's best for us. So I figure, hey, if they know what they're doing,
yeah,
if we can only do so much, like is the beekeeper, like we have to kind of let them also work their magic. They have a
yeah,
whole system that down there that we don't have any idea about.
yeah.
And we've only touched that much
Oh,
of it.
oh yeah, oh absolutely. I've always maintained every day is a school day for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep. Okay, I'm with
Yeah,
DC's. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with DC. I'm gonna keep it then. I'll keep the comb. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It would seem
Yeah, and I don't know
like
how
a
how
good.
long it's been there for DC. It could have been a few years, but it's pretty dark comb. Next time I open up, I'll show the color of the comb, and maybe you guys can help me be the judge on that, man, because I really don't know what to do with it. My mentor said it could be wise to cycle it eventually.
Hmm, yeah. So yeah, we're talking about the bees will tell you what they want. Obviously, the other day I made a big error, novice error, and that is to go into the top of the crown board and lift the fondant just to see what was going on in there. No protection on, of course,
Uh-huh.
and I got stung to hell, which is a it was absolutely my error, absolutely. It was just me being necky,
Yeah, my
and
mentor always tells me he's all he it's like his golden rule down here in Texas. He's like, don't ever go in your bee yard without your suit on, ever.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's like, don't ever do it for
yeah,
that. No matter how calm or cool or collective you think your bees might be, dude, you might go in there one day and they might be absolutely livid. You don't know that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't. And I have my bees, I'm just working out in the yard and they're coming at me,
yeah.
so they're showing their aggressiveness and that's fine because it's letting me know that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So,
Sure. I mean, that
yeah.
means they're certainly full of spirit, so they're showing it. But yeah, yeah, first five stings, I think one was on the eyelid. So
Nice. Nice.
it was like that. I was going,
A
man, this is just
good
not
one.
happening. It's just not happening.
They probably got a little irritated you opened up their fondant,
Well, yeah, yeah.
whipping
I mean,
out, huh?
yeah, certainly when I went into them again today to do the little bit of film footage, oh, they did not like that. They bored the camera initially.
Really?
So I had to sort of freeze frame it
Uh-huh.
so you could see what was at the bottom of the box, and then they were going absolutely nuts. They didn't
Yeah.
like me again, so I was quick, and I had protection on this time.
Yeah. Yeah. But my mentor, he won't even let me go out with if I'm not suited up. We suit up before we even get out to the yard
Yeah.
because the bees, they're hot down here, man. They're hot.
Mm.
They get spicy some days, man, and you never know. You never know. There's still bees. They don't come. I always tell people, hey, you're gonna get stung because the bees don't come with the safety on the trigger. Once
No,
they
they
hit you,
certainly don't.
there's no safety. They don't know what a safety button is.
Yeah, but if you get stung, you've done something wrong. That's how I look at it.
That's what I see. It's like you did
So
something
yeah,
wrong. And I have long hair in the back right here because I have a mohawk,
yeah,
so they always come after the back of my head
yeah,
right here, and they're always going after the back hair right here, and I'm always scared they're gonna get like tied up and like start
yeah,
stinging the shit.
yeah,
So yeah, everything.
yeah.
Where's your sidekick from last time?
Oh, he's up. He's upstairs. He's
All right.
otherwise engaged. So you've got my ugly mug only. I'm afraid,
Oh,
mate.
that's all right. Has he been out helping with your bees?
He has, yeah. I mean, he's held the fort for a long time when I was
Nice,
away.
good deal.
So
Man, that's
yeah,
awesome.
so it's a
Does
bit
he
of time off.
does he enjoy doing the beekeeping?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
He does. Good for him.
yeah. It gets something that's a bit of a challenge, where you have to start thinking about outside the
Yeah.
box a bit.
You do, you really do. I'll sit out there and just think, okay, how can I make the yard better? What could I do in this case of this? Because I'm going to be splitting. That's what
Yeah,
I'm going to start doing in the spring is splitting down that colony
yeah,
because it's coming from a good stock. I need to go in there right now, really, and see if they're getting ready to swarm. But I don't think they are because
yeah.
the weather has just been too spotty for them to want to swarm. There's no
Sure.
resources. I've been feeding them right there. They have no reason to leave. They
Yeah.
got a whole box of extra space they can draw on if they want.
Mm.
So I honestly don't want to split that colony down until I see them start working on that second box.
Yeah.
That's just how I kind of feel, because if I give them that space and they're not drawn on it, you know, I got to figure out from there. Okay, do I split that first box down
Yeah.
and then give that original colony that other box to completely draw on now?
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about treatment.
Okay,
Yeah, go on.
I don't know anything about treatment. I haven't done any treatments on my bees. I need to do it. I'm going to do a mite test coming into spring.
Yeah.
That's when I'll do my mite test coming into spring, when the pollen starts popping out and the bees start bringing in pollen, because that's when we're going to start having mites in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
spring for sure.
I
So
mean,
treatment.
I had a mite load at one point, which was, let me see, end of September. Quite a large mite load. I think there was eight to nine mites on the bottom tray, which for over 2 boxes, yeah, okay, you're sort of
Enough.
getting close. Yeah, you're getting close to the limit. So
Yeah.
that was my experience with that. And the treatment I used was Apivar strips,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And across the board, and all the beekeeping fraternity and all the sites that I've seen, Apivar seems to have been weaker this season, and it hasn't been as effective, and it
Mhm.
hasn't had high efficacy as it normally has,
Mhm.
which I found because I put it in for the full prescribed time, but still had to do oxalic acid treatment, 5 treatments, even after that, to wipe out the mites completely. And today, when I actually looked, there was 1 or 2 on the bottom, which I think might be the residue from the winter bee emergence, perhaps,
Mhm.
because there was a lot of comb cover casings on the bottom tray.
Right.
But after even all those treatments, and we still had 1 or 2 varroa mites in the tray, you know.
And you guys can only get the Epivar strips over there. You guys can't get like the oxalic acid, right?
Yeah,
Like
we
the full
can.
strength.
Yeah, well, no, not full. Well, there's certain criteria that apibioxol is what we use here,
Mhm.
which
'Cause
is the only prescribed one for us.
okay, because I know there's a formula like we get in the US that you guys can't get in the UK
Yeah,
because of import laws and, red tape and just bureaucratic. Yeah, we won't go
yeah,
there
yeah,
anyways.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
It
Yeah,
yeah, it's all what it comes down to is, and in the long run is what they should really be looking at, is the longevity of the bees. Hey, what do we need to maintain the lifespan of the bees?
yeah, true.
And if
But
that means treating them.
if you really want a good yammer with somebody, get into the treatment-free side of things and start talking about that.
Man, I'm gonna do
We,
whatever's best for the bees. Whatever is best for
yeah,
the health of the bees. If that means I got to go out there and treat them twice a month, hey,
yeah,
then so be it, man.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to have to treat twice a month, because that means I'm not taking care of my stock,
yeah.
and that's that's a reflection of my skill as a beekeeper, which would just make me not a good beekeeper.
Right.
I know my bees have beetles. That's a problem I have to eliminate. And I
Yeah,
know they're going to have varroa mites, and I also know that's going to be an issue I'm going to have to maintain and eliminate at some point. So I'm going
yeah,
to do
yeah,
whatever's best for them. If I don't
yeah,
have to treat, okay, but if I have to treat, all the same to me. It doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah,
Take care of them the way they need to be treated.
yeah, yeah,
If my dog is sick, I'm going to take him to the vet. I'm not going to let him
yeah,
sit there and be sick, right?
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just one of those discussions I've had in the past, and I don't know if you've seen any of my old videos, but oh man, that was a wrong move.
And that's everybody's. You know what they say about opinions, right? I mean, everybody's got one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's like, hey, DCBs, he's up in Washington. I'm down in
mm,
South Texas. The
yeah,
climates are way different. He's not going to have a huge beetle problem like we do down here in Texas,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
the climates are different. Every Yeah,
It's
can't treat.
subjective.
Yeah, it really is. It's your opinions are subjective to beekeeping, because
Yeah,
you know what my mentor said. He's all, there's no right or wrong way to beekeeping, man. And
yeah.
he's all, for people to say that they're the best beekeeper or they have all the greatest knowledge and experience. He's like, you know what? They're probably blowing smoke, dude.
Well,
Because everybody's has done it a certain way,
yeah.
and it's who's to say you're doing it wrong or right? It's like, dude,
Well, there's no right or wrong way. That's the way I look at it anyway. Maybe some establishment characters might think differently, but
yeah,
hey ho, each their own, in
yeah,
my opinion. And
yeah,
they are a wealth of information. I agree to that.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
like you say, is when you actually get them in a box and you start doing what you're supposed to do, it all changes. No plant survives contact, as they say,
Yeah, they have
and we're the
the
best
bees
one in
aren't.
the world.
Yeah, the bees aren't going to write us out an instruction list.
Oh yeah,
They're not.
it's
It's about watching them, paying attention
yeah,
to them.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
that's what the whole like we're both veterans here. We talk mental health sometimes. And that's
yeah,
one thing about beekeeping is being observant, paying attention in the moment,
yeah,
watching your bees. What are they telling you?
yeah,
Even though they're not talking to you, you can you can learn a lot just by watching them. Like I know my bees aren't taking pollen right now because there's pollen patties out there and they're not touching it.
yeah,
So I know they have no interest in pollen right now. They just want sugar.
yeah.
So
Well, that makes sense.
yeah,
That makes sense. They retain the heat.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on. However, treatment, man. I mean, I have yet to do a treatment yet, so I
Mm.
can't say anything about treatment. I'm learning a lot about it. There's a lot of new research coming out about ways to treat with thymol oil. Um, there's this student out of California that just created this entrance, right? And it's basically got food grade thymol oil on it, right? And it's supposed to help drop mites when they go in the colony, man. So
And
there's
thymol.
things,
Yeah,
yeah. So there's
yeah,
things that I'm thinking about. Okay, you can go get food grade thymol oil on the internet, right? Figure out some sort of emulsification, and maybe try and apply it at an entrance or something. Why not?
yeah. Yeah. Well, they've got Thymovar and Thymavol and all sort of things like that, but they already come as pre-prepared
Yeah.
um, preparation.
Yes.
Because I'm changing this year because I'm not going to use Apivar for the next treatment. I need to change because obviously it's shown
Yeah.
the mites have
Yeah.
shown some immunity to Apivar.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
That's all I figure.
Yeah. DC's
That's
got a
going to
good
be
point here. I like DC's point. He's got a good point. Hey, there's many successful treatment keepers and many successful treatment free. You're right,
yeah,
man. We can learn from everybody, dude. That's the point. Whether you're
yeah,
treatment or treatment free, man. Dude, we can learn from everybody. Hey, maybe somebody wants to be part treatment and part treatment free.
mm,
What's to say? Maybe you have a
yeah,
out yard that you don't need to treat. But hey,
yeah,
you might have an out yard here that needs to be treated
mm,
because of the genetics. Who knows?
yeah.
Who knows? So
Well,
who's to say?
yeah, well, exactly. Certainly down the line, I'm looking at maybe having one hive that's treatment free. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it's really to for me to get a good sense of what's going on. I mean, you see lots of videos, but actually witnessing it, I think
Mhm.
that's where you'll get all the valuable information from.
I would be stoked if I could have a hive that's treatment free. I really
Yeah,
would because that'd be less time I'd have to spend maintaining that hive's health and
yeah.
keeping it healthy because it's work to keep a hive like that healthy. You know,
But it would have to be in isolation,
it
I
would.
think.
You're right. I think you would have to have it separate from any other colony you have
Hmm,
everywhere. You would have to have it like a barrier, everything put down. You would have to have your how do you say all your ducks in a row.
hmm,
Locked up
yeah,
tight pretty much to keep it treatment free.
yeah,
You really would.
yeah,
It would be work to keep a colony treatment free.
yeah. So with the next season in mind, I know you've got some plans to bring a sort of facility for veterans to go into beekeeping. How's that going?
Right now, it's going good. I'm still working on. I've already put like a RSVP out on the social media app here in the area. Nobody's RSVP'd yet, and I was just talking to people about it. They're like, "Hey, you already put it out. People are just going to show up in a community like this because I do. I live in a small agricultural country town.
Uh-huh.
I put the I put the invitation up at the place where it's being held, and it's a coffee shop. It's called Cowgirl Coffee. Really nice ladies. I just asked them. I was like, "Hey, if I do a get together for veterans here to start up like a beekeeping group, would you guys be okay if we held like our first get together here?" She's like, "Yeah, totally." So it was all about just asking the right people. Put out the flyers. I went to the VFW internet. I handed them out to some of the ranch stores here.
Hmm.
And even the lady at the ranch store, she's like, "Well, could I come?" And I was telling her, "Come, like, I'm trying to keep it to veterans because we're going to talk about mental health, addiction, like real personal things that, I don't, in that sense, I don't want people in there that aren't going to appreciate the fact that, hey, there's real veterans here that are dealing with real mental health issues, and this is to help them get better."
Yeah,
So that's kind of the route I'm going with it. But I was like, if
yeah,
you're gonna go and support it, I was like, you guys are more than welcome to come because
yeah,
I actually want to talk to that store about carrying some products that Walker Bee Ranch just made up, and then maybe seeing about getting some like better bee stuff down here in the country, man. Because there's
yeah,
beekeepers out here. I see
Yeah.
colonies out here, man.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good idea if some of these ranch stores out here where we live carried some bee products, man.
Mm.
So it's I'm really hopeful that's going in the right direction, man. And if 3 or 4 people show up, hey, that's 3 or 4 people. Fine.
Yeah.
And it's got to start somewhere. So I'm really putting a lot of good energy towards that because I think it could really blossom into something really great out here where we live. Because we live in an agriculture county, and Texas, the laws in Texas changed big time for honey producers, man. Huge. I was just looking at them. Everything's changed. We can
Mm.
sell straight to retail, wholesale, stores, restaurants without any licensing and nothing, man, because it's covered under RAC, raw agricultural commodity. We can sell as the end user directly out to.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well, we're regulated quite heavily in the
not here.
UK. When
Oh,
you actually how you define what honey is, and it's down to a percentage of water content. If it's
yep.
below 18% or something like that, then it's declared as honey. And the Scottish government's very weird in the way they've laid things out. There's so many
Mm.
rules and regulations for you to turn around, even to say the wording to say this is pure honey or whatever honey. It,
It's
you can't even say that if you were selling it commercially. You know.
okay. See here, it just okay. This is all look. I just got okay. The common use for the common or usual name of the consumer commodity, right? This is here in America: honey,
Yeah.
pure honey, or raw honey. That's how it has to be labeled: pure
Yeah.
honey, raw honey, or honey.
Yeah.
I'm going to label mine raw because it's going to be raw honey, man. That's how
Yeah.
I would consider it. It's coming straight from the source, man. That is raw, unadulterated, pure, unfiltered honey.
Mm.
So I'm going to call mine raw, and it doesn't say what you have to call it. It just
Yeah.
says it has to have these 3 labels on it.
Well,
So man,
that's simplified, isn't it? But British legislation, they love legislating, and it's just unbelievable. This document, it's probably a two sheet or two sides of A4, something in that region. And by the time you've finished reading it, you've given up the will to live. You know what I mean?
yeah, the laws they passed here. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Any other wholesale retail business in Texas, so I can go straight to the main wholesale grocery store here in Texas, right?
Yeah.
The HEB, that's the name of it, is the main grocery store. I can walk into that store and become a vendor and sell my honey straight to them without going through any kind of regulation or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just you would definitely want to produce it in a sanitary manner, you know.
Yeah.
And I've already looked into that as far as like maybe having there's some kitchens out here that do like the meals on wheels for elderly,
Yeah.
where they take the meals out. They have a kitchen that's food safe certified. So I've thought about if I was going to sling honey to produce in that kind of quantity, I would just maybe go and rent out a kitchen and do like a fair trade kind of deal. Hey, let me use your kitchen for the evening. I'll sling you guys a crate of honey or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a deal
Because
for deal.
DC's got quite a lot here. He's commenting. Wait until the EU starts looking at bee farts.
DC
Strained unfiltered was the next one.
strained unfiltered beef
Yeah.
farts.
Is what mine is. Or strained unfiltered honey, not his farts.
Strained unfiltered. Okay, that's how you label your strained unfiltered. Okay.
Yeah. It's what mine is. So
Okay.
too many talking heads that know nothing telling farmers how to farm nowadays.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you're
got
right,
it.
Dees.
It's like McNamara, man. Fighting a war from a desk, man.
Yeah.
You got some clown sitting up at a desk telling me how to work my bees and what I should do with them and what's best for them.
Yeah. So you've
Yep.
got no registration system with a local authority to do inspections. So any inspections you want done by a governmental official, you have to maybe apply or phone
I
them
could
up and
call.
say,
I could
yeah.
call. I
So you,
Texas A&M, they
yeah.
actually have an apiary department. I've already contacted them and talked to them about processes as
Mm,
far as if I wanted to register my bees.
yeah.
There is a program here in Texas too called Real Texas Honey, and you have to go through a process. There's dues of $20 a year plus 70 cents per hive.
Mm,
You have to be a beekeeper registered with the Texas Apiary Inspection, right? And that's so you
mm,
can label, like say that way you can get the Real Texas Honey product labeled on your brand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
because brands sell mostly, right? You put that real Texas honey on there, dude, that'll
Yeah.
sell any day because people are like, oh, I want raw Texas honey, like wildflower honey,
Yeah.
and it has to be not heated above 120.
Hmm.
There's certain things that have to come into play with this, and those are just for like if you want to say be able to label your product as real Texas honey.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no regulation, but I can absolutely call somebody, be like, hey, I want you guys to come inspect my apiary. I'll pay the fees, and I do. I can pay Texas A&M. I think it's like $75 for the guy to come out. He'll come down to my apiary, open up my boxes with me, kind of quiz me right there on the spot
Yeah.
in my apiary, go over my bees with me, probably ask me where I got them, things like that, my knowledge, and then
Hmm.
he'll certify the apiary.
Hmm. They do it differently. It is a voluntary registration system here, but then
Mhm.
you get put on a rota for certain areas because there's certain counties within Scotland, as you know. So the B unit will cover all of that. So you'll go onto an inspection regime, and they'll come out and see you eventually, which I don't think is a bad thing. I'll be honest with you, because you know more experienced eyes and also better advice to deal with any outbreaks of any particular disease that can be, well, detrimental
Devastating.
to any to any colonies in the
Mhm.
area. So I think it's a good thing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know for sure. Just driving around where I'm at, I know from the point of my hives, my boxes,
Yeah.
there's about 3 or 4 boxes to the west of me,
Mm.
about 3 miles, a line. If the bees
Yeah.
were to go straight up and over, maybe 3 miles, right?
Mm.
Other
Mm.
direction, maybe 5.
Right.
So I know there's other colonies around here. I know there's other
Yes.
bees in boxes around here.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
that's
aware.
good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because you get good genetics.
Well, that's the thing, maybe I might get some genetics off of these other bees that might come and mix with mine and might get some like,
And make it
specialized hybrid.
or make them more angry.
Yeah, and that's another thing I worry about too, is in Texas, as my mentor said, you get an Africanized colony in your yard, you're gonna know.
Yeah, but is that common down there, Serrano?
Yes. Yep.
It
Yep.
is.
Yeah, we're Africanized zone. Hot. For sure.
All right. Right.
Yep, definitely. And my mentor's taken to me a couple colonies in the area and a couple towns around here. He's like, that tree, he showed me this tree one day. He's like, and this tree was huge, Dave. It's huge. 80, 90-foot cottonwood were sitting right on the side of the river.
Yeah.
And he said, this tree right here is full of Africanized bees. And he's like, there's the entrance, and you can see the bees flying in and out. He's like, they probably go up about 60 or 70 feet in that tree. He's like, this colony's been here since I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's
But
like, you ever
Serrano,
want bees? He's like, you want bees? He's like, you just come set a trap right in here somewhere. He's like, you'll get some bees off that colony.
yeah,
Guaranteed.
Serrano have been obviously renowned for their aggression, but they're also quite productive. I believe.
Yeah, they can be. They're productive, and that's my old man told me that. He's like, I've had bees in the past that were pretty aggressive. He's like, those ones have always been the most productive,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm all about. Okay, are they going to be productive? It's, I would
But
like.
yeah,
Good.
where you're situated though, you're quite isolated anyway, aren't you? Can you imagine me having Serranos here in an urban area?
Oh, no way. Well, I have neighbors right here. I'm still in a pretty rural area, but I have neighbors and my neighbors, they built a dog pen about 50 feet away from my damn bee yard.
Yeah.
They got their
Right.
dogs out there. I tell them, hey, I'm gonna work bees today. Will you take your dogs in? And they're really cool about it. So I know when the yard gets bigger, I'm definitely gonna have to like let people know, like, hey, get your dogs inside.
Well, you got any ideas of going off site somewhere else? Maybe you got
I
some
do,
other
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I have a lady over here who wants her exemptions on her property. I was like, hey, I'll put bees out there.
Yeah.
So I got 4 boxes out there right now sitting on her property. I just got to get bees in them.
All right.
I got some swarm lure from Bob Walker. So what I think I need to be doing, I'll probably go out here in the next week or so and actually just set those traps up and see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
I know it's late in the winter, but who knows, man? Who knows? I'll throw some scent in them and I'll just maybe see how long it lasts. And then if not, I'll split bees off of my yard and take them over there to her yard and build up a yard there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely got plans for out yards. I what I'd like to ultimately do is find a veteran within the group if we start it, if it gets going, that has a yard of property where they'd like to start a breeding program.
Hmm.
and see if they'd be willing to do kind of a co-op to where it's like, hey, we set up a whole breeding program here,
Yeah.
right here in the Hill Country, Texas, and
Mm,
it's made by veterans. It's all
yeah.
veteran ran, veteran founded. You know, I think that
Yeah.
would be a really fun kind of deal, man.
No, it'd be a good achievement for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
if you can get that, if you can get it to that level, hey, happy
yeah.
days.
To a
You know what I
breeding
mean?
program, yeah. That's what
Yeah.
my mentor's ultimate goal is. I've been wanting to start a breeding program. I was like, dude, that'd be so fun. Just a flat out breeding program.
Yeah.
Do
Have
all
you
things.
ever? I've got a book here actually, which
Mhm.
I don't know if it's. Hang on a sec. Here it is. Talking about breeding programs, it's this book here.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this way,
Breeding the
brother.
honeybee.
Yeah, but brother Adam, he was a chap where the Buckfast bee was originally bred.
Okay.
There's a Buckfast Abbey in Devon, and this guy, brother Adam, was one of the monks there. So he was one of the first guys to go around the world and find different strains to make up the Buckfast, which he achieved. And this book here is all about genetics. And if you're a geneticist,
Ah.
you'll understand that this is all to do with breeding cycles and breeding strain.
What's the name of the book? Let me see. Breeding the honeybee. Brother
Yeah,
Adam.
but yeah, you can get
The
it on
monks
Amazon.
the monks knew their crap, man. They knew what they were doing.
With it, this guy was, yeah, he was prolific. I mean, he
I
was all over the place.
I think that's the thing. Would you dedicate yourself to a life like that of like being humble and like learning new things? Like you're gonna figure something out eventually. You
Well,
know, like with what he did.
that's what you and I are doing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because they have their allure.
Yeah.
Bees for some reason they have. I don't know why they just have. Yeah.
I was talking to my friend about it, and he was like, it's like the beekeeping community is not necessarily taboo, but it's like a one-off community. He's like, beekeeping is a very unique, specific kind of group of people. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Well, it used to be. I mean, you know,
mhm.
uh, I suppose most people would term it as old duffers. You know,
Yeah, I
probably sat around drinking tea and eating biscuits and whatever.
mhm.
But
That's what I
it's
like about
changing.
his channel too, DC, is the history, man. And I
Yeah.
think that's important in beekeeping. Like, okay, if I think it's important to know the history of why we beekeep, why we keep the bees, why it's
Yeah.
important to have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we get honey, but hey, what about our food sources, man?
Yeah. You know, that's and he's right. The joy of honeybees is a gift of God. Yeah, I agree. But what you're saying also the best parts about the channel I is really enjoying the history pieces.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I've really turned up some real unusual information when it comes to even anything to do with like equipment. I did one about the bee suit
Mhm.
and how they started off with those, you know, and the configuration and all this sort of stuff. But all that research and putting that up, it's a bit tongue in cheek, but you know, it fills the gaps.
It's really cool to see the evolution of it, though. The deeper you dig, the more you find out about it, and you see how it's evolved. Probably
Oh
has
yeah.
it. It had to start somewhere.
Well, yeah.
Beekeeping started somewhere. We say what in Egypt, they're still finding jugs of honey, right? That are
Yeah.
3,000
Well,
years old.
yeah. I think I've done something like that as well. And the first wall painting of a character who was scaling a tree to get honey.
Honey,
It was like,
yeah,
I don't know, some ridiculous, like 3,000 years BC or something like
I
that,
believe it. I believe it.
you know.
I
So,
believe it.
yeah. And then it went on to the Egyptians and the way they did it.
hmm
And everything from honey to bees were revered.
But to think that they also knew the medical importance of honey. They figured that out early
Oh,
on.
yeah. Yeah,
They figured
definitely.
that. Yeah, the clay tubes. I was down in Cozumel recently on a cruise, and we went to this walkthrough, and this guy showed us stingless bees, right? And they're really rare. You don't find them so much in the northern hemisphere. There have been a couple cases of where they've been found. One little girl found some in California somewhere, but they produce a very small amount of honey. It's like a liter, like half a liter per year, a liter or half a liter per year,
Mm,
because they don't create honeycomb, right? And they don't. Something else he said they don't do. Can't remember, but the honey is very rare. And he
yeah.
said the stingless bees, like back during like Incan and Mayan empires, he's like that people came really for that honey from all around because of its medical value. It was so rare because they were like putting in people's eyes and stuff like that.
Mm,
Because whatever the stingless bees were doing with that, yeah, the medical value of that honey is exponential, they said, compared to regular honey.
Well, if you go to the south slopes of the Annapurna, where the Gurung, as I did a small video about them and what they collect, and their honey that they collect has got hallucinatory effects apparently, and it goes for about $50 to $80 a jar. For
I would
like,
love to try some.
well,
Love to try some.
you can understand why they're quite fearless in climbing ropes, at 300 feet in the air. If they eat enough of this stuff, I suppose you would get the nuts to do it.
Yeah.
Just hang off of them.
I think it's like in Nepal or something where those guys get it right. They climb up those crazy ropes.
Yeah.
They're just hanging up there with like wet leaves. They're not even in a bee suit or anything.
Yeah.
Those guys are absolutely crazy, man.
Because I know we're jumping from random to random subject, but DC mentions about watching Japanese channel, Real Cool to Watch.
I saw that one,
history. And have you seen their methods of beekeeping?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The boxes are real square. They're different.
The pillars,
pillars,
pillar hives, I think they call them.
Yeah, pretty cool. I seen a girl doing it. I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it looked pretty efficient the way she was doing. A little bit more work, it looked like, because she had to unbolt some stuff. Yeah. But I mean, what better way to keep your boxes secured down? Knowing they're not going to get knocked over or tipped over in the wind, or
Yeah. So I was thinking, I'm taking the opportunity now to thank everybody that subscribes to my channel for supporting me and putting up with my nonsense. And I'm up to 236 subscribers, which
right on, man.
For the first year I was really surprised, but I really have to thank everybody taking an interest in what I'm doing. But I'm also trying to spread the word, and I'm speaking to guys like yourself across the pond.
Yeah.
What I like about all the ideas over there, they are different, very, very different. And although you have to adapt things to climate and geography affects everything, of course, but some of the ideas are pretty good.
Yeah,
that I've seen.
I'm gonna have to rethink the way my whole bee yard set up because of ants now. I saw how my mentor, did his stance for his bees. I was like, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Because we have scorpions, snakes, mice, ants.
Yeah.
I mean, anything here in Texas, lizards, we have it. And my mentor said, yes, you will get scorpions. And he's like, this is why I set these up this way, because you can grease the rungs at the bottom, and then nothing will crawl up these.
Yeah.
So he gets some T-post with some galvanized 10-foot tubing, ties them together, and then he'll grease those rungs at the bottom about 6 inches up.
Yeah. I've never known. Yeah, I've been lucky with pests and things like that. I mean, mice, no problem. I've got a cat that hunts mice all the time outside, so there's no worries there. But
no.
We don't get small hive beetle, not here. So, and wax moth is another one, but I've not experienced any of that so far with the storage of frames. So, touch wood. Yeah. Everything's good.
Yeah.
So,
I've noticed a lot of wax, looks like wath moths kick out and from these bees here, house cleaning. Last time I went in there, I need to get in there and clean that bottom board off because it's pretty dirty. And I don't want them to be kind of down there in that bottom board. And I did see it. There's just a bunch of gunk in the bottom of it, man. And then, so I need to do some house cleaning for them, give them a hand. They got some rubber bands popped off some of the frames that they haven't drug out yet.
Yeah. And, well, it's next year. I'm attempting cut comb. I'm looking at that.
What's that?
Cut comb.
Okay.
Stuff where, you don't use foundation straight at the frame. There is a system here, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Thorns. They're quite a large company.
Okay.
But certainly here in EU, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And they've got a system of small wooden frames that you can have in a national size box, and you just plonk them on, and they just fill them up, and the frames are recyclable. So and you get the packaging as well, so you can throw it straight in there.
Yeah.
Sell it or give it away, whatever you feel you should do. And at least you can ask for that frame back and you can recycle it again.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good idea. I'm going to try that next year.
Yeah. Sure. I'm always up to try new ideas. Like when I set up my yard, I figured, okay, this seems the most effective way for me to set up the yard.
Yeah.
you know. But now it's like, okay, I have to evolve as I go because I didn't know shit going into my first season. I was like, okay, I'm gonna build
Yeah.
some stands. I got all this. I got milk crates. I got pallets. Bam, stands.
Yeah.
Solid, sturdy. But then there's a lot of surface area for pests to get on.
Yeah. Yeah.
DC, I'm really trying to get him on videos because he's been keeping bees for 40 years, dude. He's been keeping bees for 40 plus years, man. I'm trying to get him on a damn podcast. Yes. He hasn't done any videos yet, but I've done a couple videos of just him. And then, yeah, I would like to get him on YouTube, man, because he has a lot of knowledge and, yeah, it's all sitting up there in his brain. And
So I wonder what you're going to take to bribe him to do that then.
he said he's all about it. He's
Yeah.
all about it. I think I just need to get another setup and a mic and stuff, and I'll bring him here and be like, "No, you're coming to my house, and we're gonna do a podcast one night."
Oh,
And I'll
definitely.
bring,
And
yeah, and just
I'll be one of the first on the list, man.
yeah, he's super country, man, super country, old school veteran like me, Yeah, and he does. He's generational. It's not my place to tell a story, but everybody's got a story. But his family's been keeping bees for like 3 or 4 generations, man.
Yeah.
So he does. He has an insanely crazy amount of knowledge, and that's what he tells me. He's like, talking to you helps me refresh the knowledge because he's like, I'm thinking of stuff that I don't remember, And he's like, when I get to talking about it, he's like, bam, I remember this, remember that. So he's had some issues this last year with theft and loss.
Right.
He lost some colonies to the cold the last couple of years, and then he dealt with theft also really bad. Those same.
Yeah, I can remember we spoke about that last time. You said it was, bee rustling.
Yeah, it's called bee rustling. Yeah, it's illegal,
Yeah.
man. It's a big deal in Texas, man. You get caught with somebody else's gear, you're
Yeah.
going to jail. You guarantee you're going to jail, man.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
It's because they take, when people raise agriculture here for a way of life, man. It's a way of life. People legitimately raise food to eat here in Texas. You start taking away somebody's way of life to eat, dude.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's going to
Yes.
That's going to give someone the ump.
Mark, if you're in America, mark your boxes, man. Put a mark on the inside of them, something that only you know where it's at. Build a brand and brand the hell out of your boxes, man. Telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, up in Washington, same thing, man. What happened with my mentor is they were stealing his genetics, man. They were taking the frames of bees and replacing frames back into his boxes, taking his queens, his brood.
Here you go from DC. Look, this is quite good. You can still be hung in WA for rustling.
Oh, you can be hung here in the county where I live for trespassing.
Yeah.
It's still a law. Yeah, you can be hung here in the county. If somebody trespasses, I can hang them from my tree in my yard, dude. Nothing can be done about it because it's still written on the law book.
It's America, full of opportunity.
Yeah, land of opportunity. Well, Texas, where I live, the town I live in, it's an old school cattle stock town, man. It really is. It's a very old cattle stock town where they probably had some of the oldest laws in Texas. Like, hey, you're trespassing on a man's land and he doesn't know who you are and you're up to no good. Guess what? It's fair game. And it's still very much like that here because you go out to people's land and you see 300-400 head of cattle out there. Dude, that's somebody's well-being right there.
Yeah. Well, you'll get a place, mate, with your reverse cap. You should have a 10-gallon hat on, shouldn't you?
Some of the laws have been on the books for 100 plus years. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we get some strange ones.
Yeah.
We really do.
And what about you, DCBs? What's your plans for this year, man?
He was heavily into mite treatment over the last few weeks, I noticed.
Oh, okay.
So he was getting on top of that, I think. I'm not sure what his plans will be next year.
And you said your mite drop. You said your mites are looking good now from now, right?
Yeah. I think we're in a good place, I think, and
good deal.
I'm going to do another round of oxalic acid treatment in probably the end of December, and that'll knock them down to nothing. Hopefully, I had a zero count at one point, but then it changed, and I think that's from the winter bee session. That was.
I'm real curious what mine are. I haven't done a count on them yet, man, since I pulled them from that cutout.
Well, I kind of think if they've been there for that long, whether it's they must be doing something right. they must be have some sort of resistance. I don't know.
But
That's why I'm finding it going to be interesting next year to see how your colony
that's
gets on.
that's where I'm at with it because I didn't do a Varroa test. I knew they came
Yeah,
with hive beetles.
yeah,
But I didn't notice so many hive beetles up in the newer comb. It was mostly like the older stuff. That's where I saw most of the beetles at. And
mm,
then that stuff I just boiled down and I cut out and boiled it down and killed the beetles and made waxent, made it
yeah,
into resources. But yeah, I'm real, you know, I'm excited. I'm anxious and it's like kind of the uncertainty of it. I'm really curious as to how well they're going to do coming into the spring. Are they going
yeah.
to come
Well,
with the high load? I don't know, man.
I'm going to be looking closely as well because it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing because it'd be like anything when you trap a feral colony. It's going to be the same principles of looking. Well,
Mhm.
what mite state are they at? Is it one
Yeah.
of the colonies that's got resistance or
Yeah, that's
more
been out there
resistance?
hanging around that we don't know about.
Yeah,
It's got like a high mite resistance.
yeah, yeah.
And did I like people say, "Hey, we screwed it up by putting it in the box." Did I just create an environment where they're now going to have a high mite load? We never
Yeah,
know.
well, yeah, yeah. I kind of sort of understand that.
Hmm.
You know,
We don't know that.
yeah, sure, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I'm
What's
really
this? DC, talk to my mentor, and Harris can set me up with some full colonies to buy and make splits out in the spring if I need to. Happy days.
nice.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what?
That's good.
I'll talk to anybody. Like if there's like ranches and stuff where you live or property, if you could find somebody that's doing like needs to get rid of bees, they need to cut out, dude. Talk to pest control companies, man.
Yeah.
Things like that.
We have local councils, and it's
Mhm.
one of the things I was thinking of registering with them. And
Yep.
I know people are aware of me here because I have a Facebook page,
Mhm.
which is the local community, and there's been a few swarms appeared in gardens around
Okay.
here, but I've never been here to collect them. But I think this year I'm going to get the opportunity, especially early spring when they
Mhm.
swarm.
I found out from what oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go for it.
One of my buddies out here, friend of his friend, he's got a bee colony up in his tree, old bee colony. Said
Yeah.
it's been up there for a long time since the tree's been there.
Hmm.
And I told him I was like, let me get in with your friend and let me go set a trap over at his yard. And I was like, don't kill him, don't kill the bees, let him stay there. But I was like, let me tell your friend I want to go set a couple traps at his yard so I can take some genetics off of his colony, man. And I was like, let me. As I was like, I definitely they're probably Africanized if they've been up there that long.
Mm.
But he's like, yeah, they're about 30 feet up in a tree and they're like coming out of a hole in the side of a
Mm.
busted off limb. And I was like, yep,
Yeah.
good colony, man. They've been there that long, surviving that long. Those are the kind of genetics that I want. Yeah, swarm factory, man. Leave them in the tree. That's what I told him. I was like, nope, leave them in the tree.
Yeah.
Let me set some traps out there, dude. And when they start breaking off swarms, man, let's go.
I would kind of not look at taking from sort of wild environment in terms of it's I would only
Africanized.
consider yeah, I would only consider like from I don't know people find them a nuisance hanging off sheds or stuff like that in people's gardens, but
Yeah.
I think I would tend to leave them in the wild for definite. I think.
Yeah. And he brought up a good point, requeen them. You could requeen Africanized, but it's real tough, man. That's what my mentor said. He's like,
Yeah,
you can requeen an Africanized colony, but is what you got to do. He's like, you got to go in there. And he's like, you got to kill that queen. You got to cut her up and throw her in the box, man. He's like, you cut
yeah,
her up. And he's like, if you got like, he's like, you cut her up and you leave her in the box for a few
yeah.
days.
Requeening does cures a lot of things, not cures,
Yep.
but certainly gets you on the right track through
Yep.
anything from genetic diseases,
Yep.
all that
Yep.
sort of chalk brood.
Yep.
Like this, I had real problems with my nucleus this year when I did the split, and it was a good split. I had
Hmm.
the queen. I waited 3 days for the queen to come in the post, and she was delayed, which in the height of summer I wasn't happy with because I thought that's going to affect her. And when she was installed over the week period, 7 day period, I can just remember that it just went all wrong from there with that queen. She was a lot smaller than my main hive buckfast queen,
Hmm.
I noticed, but they do vary in size and color. But what I did notice with her from the beginning, things started to happen, like a huge case of chalk brood
Hmm.
on the bottom of the nucleus, which is indication that it's a genetic problem. One or two, maybe, no problem, but it was more than that.
Yeah.
And it just kept going and going and going. And then she disappeared. And there were super seizure cells all over the place. And
you're like saying, like, what happened?
Exactly that. And that's where it became a head scratch again,
Yeah, DC brought up a good point. There's no way. Yeah, because swarm season for Africanized is in the fall down here, brother. Yeah. My mentor told me, he's all, no, it's Africanized swarm season right now. You're absolutely right. There's no way you're going to requeen Africanized. There's no way.
And he actually makes a good point of take all the extra steps during requeening. I agree with that, because I feel I might have missed something. I don't know, which caused the queen to abscond or the bees to kill her, because I had to remerge and more or less take a step back. So
you got to take out the drone brood too. That's the real important thing. You got to get the drones out. You got to kill the drone brood, because that's carrying the genetics.
Yeah, and I know certainly in August time, end of August, they normally get booted out. They normally get my cat's in the way.
Hey, Kitty.
Joan.
Hey, that's Joan. Kitty. Marley says, hey, Kitty. Hey, Jones. What are you doing? I like to be on my stream too.
There you go. He's a Bengal.
This is my boy. He's all, hey, I don't like dogs. He's all, hey, put him down. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, no, he's all right. Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Hey, kitty. Oh, hi, Kitty. I got to be on live stream with you, okay?
Well, there you go. Pat's at home.
He's all, I get to be famous with you guys.
Yeah. So going back to what they said about requeening, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I'm sure I've missed something, or I did something wrong, which created that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. If I had an Africanized colony, I would set that colony way away from everything that I ever had, and it would be its own separate yard by itself for that process.
Well, if you got a good suit or Teflon skin, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
The
videos about Africanized, man.
I think I watched too many videos, he says. Yeah.
Well, it's really true. The Africanized, man, they're known for their aggressiveness, right? And you really do. If you're going to have Africanized and you're going through a requeening process, man, you want to set that colony 20 miles away from anything that is even remotely close to yours, man.
Yeah.
You just run too much of a risk, man.
Well, you could say, well, where's your sense of adventure?
Right? I know, huh? Where's your sense of let's test your skills.
Yeah, or test your pain threshold. I don't know.
They're just bees. They're
parts of the world, they are just bees that people work. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's true, yeah.
It's true. Well, I think we covered all the subjects tonight, and once again, I'll thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's good to catch up.
How many you're going into spring? What's your expansion plan for 2023?
Right.
Talk too much about it.
Well, at the moment, I've got one hive that's in my back garden. I'm putting an additional hive because that nucleus is coming the early part of next year. That's already pre-ordered, so that will go in there, and those two will support each other.
Okay.
In terms of resources, I'm looking at off-site apiaries at the moment. I've got one definite site.
Okay.
And actually, the other site would be on my old Royal Marines unit, which is just up the road, the road from me. And they've got a memorial garden, and there's also at the back fruit trees. And I'm thinking is to go and speak to some of the people that I still know. I've been out a little bit of time, but I know
some
a
strings.
few more. Yeah, and try and say, well, can I put a couple of hives on there? Because I've already bought more hives and they're just ready to go. Let's put a couple on there.
For your Royal Marine buddies, be like, hey, I want to put a couple of hives out here for my Royal Marine buddies,
Yeah. And I mean, because all my hives are named after the royal family.
Oh, they are?
So you'll see that. As cheesy as that sounds, but there you go.
I started putting Texas license plates on mine.
Yeah. Well, they see the picture behind me. Right? And I get ribbed for that so much.
Do you? That's an old picture, man.
Yeah. Well, that's a signed copy.
Oh, is it really? That's from the Queen, huh?
It didn't actually reside. This didn't reside here originally. It came from a cheese factory.
No way.
Yeah, down in where was it? Down in the borders of Scotland.
See that
But yeah,
people don't appreciate things like that and
yeah,
understand like really we could talk about that all day in the controversy, but hey, that like to have to come across something like that,
yeah, yeah.
that's like it's like a relic almost, man. It really is.
Oh,
Like that's
yeah.
it is. That's like an art like history relic, man.
Well, I've joined that queue now.
Huh?
I'm a relic now.
Uh, um, and what about your son? Is he going to help with the expansion and everything this year?
As much as you can.
Okay.
He's got other plans. I think he's looking at the armed forces, so he
Okay.
might disappear into that, which is great.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Good for
for
him, man.
him. Yeah,
Yeah. Good
yeah,
for him. Good for
yeah.
him.
So that's my plans for next year. Look at these offsite apiaries, get
Mhm.
some honey production going. Maybe try and get a little cash back and throw back into the concern, so I
Yeah.
can recoup some of the money and already
Yeah.
spent. I'll try anyway, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you,
Yeah,
man. I'm glad your bees are doing well. DC. Yeah, history is cool, man. I like the history, dude. When you read about the history of bees, man, that's the
yeah.
coolest. That's the
Well,
coolest.
I keep throwing out I keep throwing out things to say. Well, has anybody got any ideas that I could cover? Because anything bees, I'm happy to research it and throw it out.
I do, man. I dig the history part of it because you you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. You might learn something from an old beekeeper. I have Langstroth's book here. I open that book up every so often and flip through it to see what I can learn out of it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he Langstroth he approached it from a really cool point. I thought the way he approached it was from like he looked at the health of the colony from like a spiritual aspect. It
Hmm,
was more about the health of the colony, the colony as the whole, not as like the singular bee.
hmm.
How it took the whole colony to function as a collective without the
Well,
queen.
he's the one that worked out the top bee space or a bee space.
Bee space. He's
He's
the one who figured
yeah,
out bee
yeah,
space. Yeah,
yeah. He
they
figured.
need. That's crazy. See, that's what I mean. It's like some guy was sitting there making an observation. He's like, they need that space,
Yeah.
and he probably got up there with the tape measure and everything and measured like every little
Oh,
nook and cranny. It's like, okay, it's like three. What was it? 3/8 or something like that. Is the bee
oh,
space?
clearly, yeah, clearly
Yeah,
he's thought about it. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Man,
There's
right
many,
on, man.
many sort of. I think I did something on that as well. This
Mhm.
is how crazy I've been with this YouTube thing. Yeah, I think I did something on the skep.
Yeah,
I
it does.
think,
Dude, that's a good point. That's what I always try to talk about. It goes beyond the single colony when you get into the organism of the apiary.
yeah,
Yeah, it does. I mean, you could start looking at the colony. Is it a superorganism, an insect, singular organism? No.
there you go. But an important creature for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm gonna try and push in the heroes. The group I'm trying to start is like, hey, these are our food source, man. We need these. Like, if these die, guess what? The rest of humanity goes with it eventually.
Well, there's a balance everywhere.
It really isn't. I was just thinking the other night, bats can't eat bees. Isn't that kind of weird? Like because bats. I,
Where did you get that fact from?
well, think about it, because bees colony up at night, right?
Yeah,
Bats fly at night.
yeah.
I don't know. I was taking a drive through the country, and I just think weird shit like that sometimes. I'm like, okay, bees fly in the day. Can bats like
I thought I was
maybe?
bad.
Maybe it's like, is it one of God's little cool things? Because there's symbiotes in nature, right? Is
Mm,
that one of nature's little kind of tricks where it's like, hey, bats can eat bugs, but they can't eat bees,
that's a conundrum.
right? That sorry to throw
That,
you
that
off
would
there, right?
that would take weeks to unpack that one.
Right, it really would, right? And I had to start looking it up, and everywhere I found is like, no, like bats can't because of the two different times that they operate.
well,
Bats aren't.
that's like me saying, well, if a tree fell in a forest, if you weren't there, would it make a noise?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
That's one of
I
them
don't know.
questions.
Yeah, I've been doing the research on it, and for the most part, it says, yeah, they don't commonly eat bees. It's very few and far between. Oh,
Yeah.
dragonflies sure do. Oh yeah, dragonflies are
Well,
bee killers.
I've seen something about these. They are fighter pilots. They are
Yeah,
the F-15s of the insect world, I believe.
the bees or the bees.
No, the
Oh,
dragonflies.
oh yeah, man. Yeah,
they
that's what.
take things out pretty successfully.
Yeah, Bob Walker was telling me. He's like, yes, dragonflies. Oh man, dragonfly snapped the queen right out of the air, man. Big
Oh,
old eyes
definitely.
on that thing.
Yeah,
That thing you see a bee from a mile away, man.
that's what I said. They're fighter pilots. They are.
All right. I would think maybe in starvation situation that would be it. Yeah.
For sure. Anyway, boys, I appreciate you coming on, as I said. And yeah, if you manage to get your man on YouTube
I would
on a
love to,
blog,
man.
please invite me, because I would be over the moon if I could
Yeah, I
speak,
really would. And I've
to
been
him.
talking to him about it. I'm like, John, I need to get you on YouTube. And I've been telling him, like, I'll create your account for you and your wife,
Yeah,
because it's him and his wife, dude. And I was like, dude, a lot of people would love to see you keep your bees, dude.
yeah.
Because he does. He's got a lot of yards, and I'm working on it. I just got to get him here at the desk and
I'm
get his
sure you
face right
will.
here in front of us, and
I'm
get him.
sure you will. You
I
will.
will. I'll get him talking. That's what I told him. I was like, dude, I just need to get you in front of the camera and talking, dude. That's it.
Yeah,
And just talking bees, dude, because you'll put out the information that.
yeah. You can tell him, well, you get used to talking to yourself on cameras. You really do.
Yeah, you too, DC, man. Dave, dude, thanks for having me, and thanks for letting us talk here and
Yeah, mate. No,
share ideas, man.
yeah, we're just shooting the wind, really, just covering a lot of
Yeah,
subjects. But hey ho, there's
yeah.
some. If you've got
I
anything
support.
specific,
Yeah, I support treatment for your treatment, man. By the way, I don't care whatever is best for your bees, man.
yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
if you don't have to treat your bees, more power to you. You have to treat them, hey, more power to you.
Yeah,
Either way,
if you,
man.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
is, man.
But
And newbies, dude. So what? So what if we're newbies? Who cares?
well,
Don't hate.
you'll have to remind us down the line in the future, if we start being specific about things. I think that's a time
Yeah,
that maybe you've gained enough experience. I don't know, because we're just talking about everything, because
yeah,
it's interesting. It's stuff that comes up time and time again. And you
yeah,
think to yourself, with the best will in the world, how can I get around this?
yeah. I don't.
You know?
That's the thing. I'm not going to go over to Dave's house and tell him how to keep his bees or DC's.
Yeah,
Not my bees.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, right, it is time to go. And thanks very much, mate.
You
And
too, Dave. Keep in touch.
thanks, DC, for your input. It's been great. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, DC for sure.
And I'll try and get something together. Maybe it'll probably be in January, unless you've
But
got anything you want to do prior to that.
let's try and do a history lesson in January.
Oh, why not? What do you
All
want?
right.
What subject do
Man.
you want to do? Or do you want to think about it and email me?
Yeah, let's crush on that one. DC, you want to throw in on it too and see what we could do on a history lesson in January, man?
He will.
Yeah, I think that'd be a
Yeah.
good one. Let's think of like a history lesson to go back to, and yeah, I think that's a good
You
one.
got it. You got
All right,
it.
all right, man.
So,
You guys be good, brother.
hey,
Dave,
hey. Cheers, man.
DC, cheers, man. See you
Cheerio.
guys.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.